Welcome back, and as promised, we will address this month's most controversial topic, and it's about 2 R's: resignation and reshuffle. So we heard and we saw that the Kun Yongyut Vichaidit resigned from his positions as Deputy Prime Minister, Interior Minister, Pheu Thai leader, as well as a Member of Parliament. Why did he resign?
Well, first of all, I do have to give credit to Kun Yongyut for having showing a spirit, a political spirit to resign from all his posts. So to avoid any, further problem for the party, because right now what the party really needs is a smooth transition in terms of, power, or whether it be a potential reshuffle, because of the scandal that happened in the past, have I think made him decided to resign from all posts. So
But scandals are pretty common in Thai politics, isn't it?
well,
What makes this scandal so controversial that he has to resign from 4 positions?
Well, it's the scandal involved the land belonging to the temple and a golf course in Rangsit area, and the panel by the Interior Ministry has found the former Deputy Prime Minister Yongyut guilty. But at the same time, I think it's not just...
He was found guilty of approving the land
approving
sale.
the land sale.
Yeah, from the ownership of the temple to the new owners who then went and built a golf
So
course.
temple land actually should not be
and
sold,
at that
right?
time, Kun Yongyut was the Deputy Permanent Secretary.
Of the Interior Ministry.
Exactly. So it was his job to whether or not to approve or not approve this. In his defense, what he said was that there seemed to have been clear documents that the temple or the people that the temple had transferred the land to had intentions to sell to this new owner. The panel found differently, and he has resigned.
So who's the new owner?
What's that?
Who's the new owner?
The new owner actually is Kun Thaksin, right? It's the Alpine Golf Course. But again, I don't think it has any issue of who the owner is. This is a case that happened long before Kun Thaksin was
so
the owner.
perhaps I would say perhaps he resigned so that the story about this case and its ultimate linkage just to Thaksin will disappear.
This case has been going on for a very, very long
It
time.
is about
Yeah,
8
and
years
I think
ago, right?
I think this showcases the maturity, right, or the lessons learned by the Pheu Thai party from its reincarnation of it used to be the Rak Thai and all of that, right? I mean, to be fair, we got rid of a prime minister
For cooking.
for cooking, Kun Samak Suntorawet. So as Kun Jiraporn has said, right, I think Kun Yongyut Vichaidit did
Stepped
the
up.
right thing. He
So
had
that
the
Pheu
spirit.
Thai doesn't have to be
He had the
suffering
spirit,
the same fate.
the faith of the whole is much more important than the faith of the one. That's my Star Trek quote, by the way, for all you viewers out there.
Stardate.
Stardate, yes, that's right. But again, to be fair, what he has done, not a lot of Thai politicians do. Whether it's Democrat, whether it's Pheu Thai, whether it's Chai Patana, politicians fight forever. And you see some of the
Some
the
of-
cases of the Reds, right?
Some of them who are not even here are fighting forever.
There are cases of the Reds who are there as people, and they're still fighting cases where they still hold on to their positions. During the last administration of the Democrats, there were people in the yellow, right, who held on to their position. Again, on this one, I tend to agree. Obviously, he did it as something to benefit the party, but to be fair to him also, by benefiting the party, in his mindset, I'm not a mind reader, but obviously he must think that it benefits the country. Because what you don't want to end up with is another constitutional crisis, right? Can you imagine, the Pheu Thai party being dissolved again for something like this? What would that happen to our country? We're stable right now. This guy took the hit, so let's congratulate him where he should be congratulated. If somebody in the Democratic Party did the same thing, I would congratulate them too. That's my thought on this. The case has been going on for a long time. Again, it's irrelevant who owns it now, right? What's relevant is the panel found him guilty. He took a hit for the party, which in essence he took a hit for the country. So let this guy retire nicely.
Happy retirement.
Well,
You've done enough for the country already.
what do you think he's going to do, Jiraporn?
Well, I think he has served his country well in his party well, and I think it's like you said, he set a good example
Yeah.
for any political parties or any politicians who are going to be entering the the public life and be in the public scrutiny. That you do have to get set a good example.
Maybe this host at Channel 3 morning show will learn the same thing and resign from his position.
Okay, so now this resignation has also rekindled the talk about a cabinet reshuffle because one guy is out, right? So
Is this
the
kitchen cabinet, living room cabinet? What cabinet is this?
No, this Thai
Bedroom
cabinet,
cabinet?
the Thai cabinet under Prime Minister Yingluck. Okay, so the deputy prime minister, the number one DPM, actually he was the number one DPM, resigned. So his duties are now, I think, believed taken over by the second DPM who has moved up, and that's Kun Chalerm, right? And the deputy interior minister has replaced the interior minister's position. So people are now talking about it's time to actually change the team now. It's the football team has been playing for over a year.
This is why you had mentioned at the beginning, right? The A380 is flying overtime.
Yeah. And they can take a lot of people now. This big plane, 500 over seats. Yeah.
So let's see whether who comes back with the iPhone 5. Yeah.
So is a reshuffle in the cards. It's a reshuffle on the cards. When will it happen?
Well, Kun Suwat Liputapanlop has mentioned that it's time. I think
That's from the
that's from the other
Thai
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 Patana.
yeah Thai Patana party and
one of the coalition partners.
coalition
And
one
Thailand's best tennis player, actually.
Really?
oh yeah
Suwat
he's the
Liputapanlop,
out
yeah. Good guy.
Okay.
very
Owner
supportive
of the
the tennis.
Intercontinental Hotel in Hue Hin. Okay, I just plugged your hotel for you.
Okay, so he said that it's time for a reshuffle, right?
Yeah.
Well, he wants to be back in the cabinet.
I see.
You have to understand, there are these people, and for all our foreign friends, 5 years ago, 111 politicians were asked to step aside.
Right, the House of 111. Yeah.
Basically because the party was dissolved, so they had lost their position as MPs or any position and their ability to run for elected office again. This 111 are now out. A lot of them are jockeying for position, obviously. They feel that they are much more capable of being ministers than the current crop of ministers. I don't seem to think that Kun Yingluck is seeing it that way. I think she has made it perfectly clear that this is her government. Obviously, she has the courage to consult other people, but I think at the end of the day, she's going to make the call on this, as to whether or not, who's ever going to get which seats. Usually,
on the plane?
Well, usually in a situation like this, when a Minister of Interior leaves, you replace them very quickly. The fact that the Minister of Interior has not been replaced at all, and Prime Minister Yingluck came out very quickly and say, I'm going to spread the decision making, among the people that I have. It shows that she's in power.
But she doesn't want to actually disrupt the work of the government, is what she's saying.
And I think that's
now.
right. I think that's right. I remember Thai cabinets used to go through every 6 months, literally, right? This one has been going on for a while. Their yearly report is coming out. The country seems to be on the right track, and I don't think she wants to.
There's a lot of pressure on her. There's a lot of pressure on her to actually give seats to some members of the red shirts, and some MPs in Northeast are wanting more seats, and the coalition partners are wanting more seats. How is she going to balance this?
I think it's natural for politicians to wanting to be in the cabinet. That's one of the most prestigious, job you can have, being a minister and also
the
being
most prestigious job in
Prime
Thailand
Minister.
is a host of MCOT World, the topics.
Aside from that, I think Prime Minister Yingluck sees that, her cabinet right now has gotten the rhythm of working together, and I think she wants to see
and that's a good word,
a
rhythm,
lot of the projects, that is being implemented right now being followed through, because remember you have all the veterans, like Deputy Prime Minister like Kun Chalerm or Kun Tirirat, who's in charge of the economics affairs, and also you have 2 deputy interior ministers already, so they can take over that job pretty much, on a temporary basis. But on the bigger level, at the party level, like Pheu Thai has to go on to an executive committee, meeting on the decisions whether who's going to be qualified
the
to be
leader of the party.
Yeah, first of all they have to select the new leader, because Kun Yongyut resigned, and also at the same time the executive members have to decide who's going to be the new if they're going to be reshuffled, and ultimately the decision will fall under Prime Minister Yingluck.
Is it necessary for the leader of the party to have a seat on the cabinet?
No, it's certainly not. But I think at the end of the day, it's an honor to be a leader of a party that's currently running the government. Whoever that person is, if they do get the position, would be capable, right? But again, I go back to what Kun Chiraporn said, right? I think Yingluck is certainly showcasing that she doesn't make decisions out of a whim. She's not going to make a decision just solely based on pressure by the 111 who wants to be in the cabinet or the coalition. But I think most importantly, I think she, as a businesswoman, remember, this is a businesswoman. She used to run, AIS, used to run SC Asset. I think she believes in the rhythm aspect of, of people working together. There's a team now that seems to be working together with her as the leader, Kun Suratnan Wechachiwa as a secretary, who seems to be, quarterbacking the team pretty well for her. So I think the answer is, I don't want to call it a reshuffle, right? Because when you say a reshuffle, it's like taking the whole deck of cards and reshuffling. Will there be new people in the cabinet? I think, of course, there has to be, because of, there is a position open in the Ministry of Interior. But I don't think you'll see a major one, and I think that showcased the growth of this young lady, who was a very new, very novice in at the beginning, who has really grown into this role of, I am the leader, I want my own team. And I want a team, again, borrowing from Kun Chiraporn, who works at my rhythm and not somebody else. So I think it's a good thing. It showcases her growth. And
So in summary, I think we can say that the Prime Minister is actually taking her time.
Yeah.
She doesn't have to rush. Yeah. And, a realignment of the cabinet will happen.
and this is something that people will probably start throwing things at the TV screen at me. I'll tell you, if you look at Kun Apisit, Wechachiwa, and Kun Yingluck, a lot of similar in their styles, right? New, thought out process, doesn't do knee-jerk reactions, well thought out, takes advice from the elders. I think there's a lot of commonality in these two, and I think this is the kind of leadership that Thailand needs.
One is a lot more eloquent, while the other isn't.
No, you can't say that.
Well, let's just hope that they come together, to relieve the flood.
I never say that you're not as bright as me just because I speak better English than you. Is that true,
Okay.
Adrian?
So let's end now, because before Tom goes off topic, and when we come back at the after the break, we'll be addressing two very interesting issues. See you later.
They can never break your pride.